Hello and welcome to a video all about phonics. Now here at Hoole Primary we follow a synthetic phonics scheme called Letters and Sounds. So today we're going to look at the first phase of phonics, which is called phase 1. It's worth noting here that phase 1 phonics never stops. It underpins all those critical skills for your child's phonics and it goes all the way through from phase 1 up until phase 6. Now I'm really lucky today because we have a very special teacher joining us from our Hetty Preschool and she's called Mrs. Chester. So Mrs. Chester is going to help us, give us lots of ideas that we can do at home with our children to support our phase 1 phonics knowledge. So, as we know, phonics is all about sound, and that knowledge starts even before they are born. So from about 18 weeks pregnant, when you start talking to your baby bump, they'll start hearing those sounds, and that's where their phonics journey starts. So in phase 1, there are 7 aspects, and we're going to look at each aspect in a little bit more detail. Mrs. Chester and I are going to be working through them, showing you lots of games that you can play at home to develop your skills in each area.
Environmental sounds, it's something that we probably do with our children all the time when we're out. You do it without even thinking. At Hetty, we will often ask the children to switch their listening ears on and get them to actually do this. Or something else that we might do is actually make some listening ears and put them on like this, just a band with some silly ears on. And we'll go on a listening walk around the school. This is great fun. You can do this anywhere at home. If you're outside in the park, even outside in your garden, just walk around and listen for the sounds that you can hear. It might be that you can hear a car revving or people talking, dogs barking, the birds singing, fire engines, anything at all. Just really get the children to tune in and listen to the sounds that are around them on their listening walk. They might even want to try and make some sounds by finding a stick and scraping it along the railings. That's a great sound for the children to listen to.
So we're moving on to instrumental sounds now, and the clue's in the title. We're going to need some instruments for this one. So I've got a selection of things we've got at home. We've got a ukulele, a xylophone, maybe some handbells like this. We might even have a drum like this. Anything you've got together. Now, it's a really simple game to play and it's great fun. And it all involves hiding those instruments away. But before we do, what we need to make sure that the children understand is the language of same and different. So, for example, if I played the drum, it would sound like this, wouldn't it? Now, that's the sound the drum makes. We'd show it to our children first and make sure that they understand that's the drum sound. The next thing I might play is something that's really different to make it really easy for them whilst they're learning this. And I might play something like the xylophone. So I might make the sound. Showing them it and making sure that they know the word xylophone. Now, the next bit's the fun bit, because we say that the sounds are different. They're not the same. And you might give an example, something they understand already, something like a dog and a cat. A drum and a xylophone are different. So when we play the sounds, when we've hidden them away, the children understand if they're listening out for the same sound or a different sound. So we'd start off by hiding away those instruments so they know we've got the drum and the xylophone, they're already aware of that. We'd hide it away, we might put it in a feelie bag, in a box, under a little sheet, and then we'll play the sound. And they have to close their eyes and they have to guess what the sound could be. So as simple as tapping out a drum beat, but then you might tap out the drum beat again. And you have to ask your child, oh, is that the same sound or is it different? So not only are they listening to the sound now, they're starting to discriminate between what sounds the same and what sounds different. Something that's a great skill to build up in the next aspect. Another really fun thing to do with our instruments is make up some songs with them. And again, you're going to start using a rhythm as well as listening to those sounds, as well as singing and using our voices. So it's lovely and lots of fun to put them with music. But you can also make up really simple rhythms and really simple rhymes. Something like this we use, shake them in the air. Shake them everywhere. Shake them high and shake them low. Shake them everywhere we go. Another fun thing to do with instruments is use them when you're reading a story. So it could be something that lends itself to music, something like the ladybird heard, or maybe something like the gruffalo, or maybe even when you're going on a bear hunt. So instead of using our voices, think about the instruments we could use. So for example, when we're running up the stairs, you might want to use a xylophone and talk about the notes of the xylophone getting higher as we go up the stairs. So you might go, and when they run back downstairs to close the door, you might go. So look at using instruments instead of using our voices for those sounds too.
Body percussion is a fantastic thing to do with children. You don't need any resources for it at all, just your body. And the children really enjoy doing things with their body that make sounds, as we all know. One of the things that you could do with children is perhaps just put some music on and get the children to clap along in time with the music. They might want to stamp their feet, they might want to click their fingers, just different things that their bodies can actually do to make sounds. Another game you could play is Follow My Leader. So basically you would come up with some sort of sound that your body could make, and you would get the children to follow that sound, to copy you. So it might be that you would do a particular clap. You might clap 3 times, and then the children would then have to clap 3 times after you. It might be that you want to make it a little bit more tricky for your child. You might do 2 claps, 2 clicks, and 2 claps. See if your child can copy that. Really, really good fun, different things that you can do with that, with stamping, with clapping, with clicking, even making silly sounds with your actual voice, a sort of ooh or ee type sound. Children really enjoy just being silly with their voices as well. One of our favourite things that we do at Hetty is we have a sound storm, and when there's a few people around joining in with this, it's even better. So perhaps this is something you could do as a whole family. So you'd basically start off with the rain being very, very quiet and not that heavy. And with your 2 fingers, you would just tap your hand. And then as it gets a bit heavier, the rain, you start using your whole hand to make the rain sound heavier. And then it gets louder and louder. And then we go onto our knees, and we tap our knees, and we stamp our feet as well. And then it gets quieter again and much quieter, and we go back to just clapping, and then we go back to just the 2 fingers until the storm stops. It's really effective, and the children love doing that. You could do something really fun and make up a secret handshake with your children, which will be really nice for them to have. It might be that you do 2 clicks, 2 claps, and then some sort of thumb wiggles and a shake, something that's secret between you and your child. And it's just a really nice way of showing that your body can make different sounds. And then finally, a really simple one, at bedtime when you're having a story with your child, make some sound effects for it. The story We're Going on a Bear Hunt is a brilliant one for that. It's actually got the words in there to make the sound effects, but you can do it with any story at all, just adding some drama to it with making some weather sounds, or making some shock sounds or screams in it, or even just the animal noises if you're talking about something like the Gruffalo story. Loads and loads of different ways that you can use your body and your voice to make different sounds to actually help out with the stories.
So next up, we're moving on to rhythm and rhyme, and this is lots of fun. So reciting those nursery rhymes that we all know. Also, when we're singing them, tapping out the beat. So for example, we might do something like the Grand Old Duke of York, and we can tap along in time to the beat of the nursery rhyme as we sing it. Are you ready? So we go something like this. The Grand Old Duke of York, he had 10,000 men. He marched them up to the top of the hill, and he marched them down again. Really simple, really easy, and the children love to do this. They can use their body, using body percussion. They can use instruments to tap along to the beat too, and really listening to that rhythm of the words. A great fun game I love to play with rhyme is rhyming hands. Now what we do is we'll pick a good story, something like Room on the Broom, or Each Peach Pear Plum, or Hairy Maclary, and what we'll do is we'll read the story. Now as I read the story to the children, they'll listen really carefully to those rhyming words, the ones that have got that same sound at the end. And as soon as they hear the 2 words that rhyme, they'll put their hands up like this, and I'll know they've heard something that rhymes, and I'll ask them, What do you think it could be? Which of those two words can you spot that rhymed that I've just read? So it could be room on the broom, for example. They'll shout out room, broom, they rhyme, and we'll use our rhyming hands. It's lots of fun to listen out really carefully and spot those rhyming words.
So when we talk about alliteration, we're basically thinking about words that start with the same sound. And a game that you could play with your children at home is something called Silly Soup. Now all you would need for that is a bowl or a pan and a spoon. And you would look around your house and try to find things that start with the same sound to put in your silly soup. So for example, you might decide to think about the letter sound S, the letter S, and you would look for things to put in your soup that start with that sound. You might have some smelly socks, some scissors and some sellotape, and give it a good stir. You might have, if you were thinking about the sound ch, you might put some chips, some Cheerios and some chocolate in there. It's a really good thing if you emphasise the sound with the children and they can just have a look around and see what they can find. Another game that we play is we have a bag for each of our letter sounds, and the children have to again look around the setting or perhaps print off pictures of things that start with that sound. You might be looking at the letter sound M. You might put a picture of mummy, of some marshmallows. You might put a monkey in there. Again, just fill that bag full of things that start with that sound. Peppa Pig is a brilliant example of alliteration, and you could pretend that you were a zookeeper with the children. You could think of names for the different animals that you know. You could have a Shelley sheep. You could think of Tommy Tortoise or Peter Panda. Basically have a think of different animals that you know and give them names that start with the same initial sounds. And finally, a really easy time filler game, perhaps if you're sitting in the car and you're in a queue and you're having to wait for ages, is just do a round the car game where you're coming up with different words that start with the same sound again. So an alliteration string, you might think of the sound, I don't know, d, d. And so you would say dog. The next person might say door. The next person might say dinosaur, and you keep going around the car, taking it in turns to say a different word that starts with that sound. Really simple games that you can just fill in time with.
So the next aspect is voice sounds, and this is where it gets lots of fun because you don't need anything, you've got your voice and that's what you're going to be using. There's some great games that you can play. The first one that I do nearly every day actually in school when we're answering the register is we put on some voices and we have to guess what the animal is that we are pretending to be when we answer the register. So for example, I might say good morning and they might say good morning, Mrs. King. And I'll have to guess, oh, could you be a snake today? And it's lots of fun. So you might have a roaring lion, you might have a very quiet, timid mouse. Lots of fun, the children love to play it. The next game we love to play is when we're reading a story. And who doesn't love to give sound effects to the story? So if we're reading a story and we mention the train, the children can then go choo choo, choo choo, and make it even more animated. Especially when we've got interesting characters as well. That's so much fun because you can put on your character voices as well. Another fun game is making sounds for animals. So it will be through our songs. You know the typical songs like Old MacDonald Had a Farm, and you're going to say moo says the cow and bok 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 says the chicken, and make all those animal sounds. The children absolutely love it. The wheels on the bus go round and round. What noise could they make? What could be the sound? Playing lovely games like that, the children absolutely love to get involved in, and also think of some actions too. If you're reading a story about the train and you're saying choo choo, make sure we're making that action and give their mouths a bit of a workout. Another great thing we love to play with the children is using mirrors. Now, we have individual mirrors when the children have a circle time in the classroom so that they can see what their mouth looks like when they make a sound. So sometimes I'll play a little puzzle game with them and I'll make my mouth into the sound that I'm going to say. But no sound will come out. It's been lost. Can they make the sound for me? So I might show them my mouth making this shape, and they have to guess what sound it could be. Something like ooh. ooh. Or for example, I might do something like this. And then again, they can guess it might be shh. It's great fun because you can say, I've lost my sounds. And it gives them that opportunity to really play with their voice. So aspect 7 is the final aspect to phase 1 phonics, and this is where we start orally segmenting and blending. So we're really listening to those sounds. We've used all of those skills before and we've built them up so we've got that strong basis understanding the same, the different, played with our voices, played with our bodies, played with our instruments, listened to the world around us, and now we're really honing in on those sounds that we can hear in simple words. So for example, you might show the children something like a cup, and make sure we all say it out loud so that we can really listen. Cup. And model it again. Cup. Now, like we were saying before about using mirrors, that's a great way of checking that you're making the right sound. Does your mouth look the same as mine when I say cup? Now, can you hear the sound cup? Oh, what do you think that might start with? Cup. And make sure we do lots and lots and lots of repetition and the children can hear their own voice. It's very important. Now, in a word like cup, we'd love it if the children can hear that initial sound. Cup. You might emphasise then, once they've got the initial sound, the final sound. Cup. Cup. And then they'll start to hear the initial and final sound. The next thing we'd do is we'd segment the word even further. So we'd say, oh, it's a cup. K, up. What can you hear? K, up. Cup. K, up. That middle sound. It does sound like that, doesn't it? So they can hear k, up when we segment it, makes cup when we blend those sounds together. Now, when we're looking at orally blending and segmenting, I'm going to link to another video down below because I've created a whole video all about segmenting and blending sounds together with lots of games for you to play. And they are lots of fun. What I would say is probably the most important thing we always remember when we're teaching children how to orally blend and segment. That's only through listening. It's not from writing or reading yet. It's being able to hear their own voice. It's so important that the children can hear their own voice and they're confident to speak out loud and to make those sounds. So when we were talking about before, looking in the mirror to see what sounds they are making and what shape their mouth makes when they make that sound, where their tongue goes, where the breath comes out, it's so important now that they start using all those skills that they've built up in the previous aspects and using them now in aspect 7 to really orally blend and segment those sounds and start to understand how a word is made up of those sounds put together. I really hope you found this video useful and it's given a real insight into how we introduce phonics to your little one in school and in Hetty Preschool as well. Now, if you have found the video useful, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. It's completely free and there's lots of home learning ideas on there to support your child's learning at home. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye!